I was looking through the notes for today's deep dive, and I honestly flinched.
Flinched, really?
Yeah, like a visceral reaction. It brought back this very specific memory from a previous engineering life.
Let me guess. It involved a Python script, a lot of coffee, and something breaking at the absolute worst possible moment.
It was the Tuesday scenario. I had this beautiful, handcrafted document processing pipeline, wrote the regex myself.
Oh, I know where this is going.
It was parsing invoices perfectly. I felt like a genius. And then on a random Tuesday, one of our biggest vendors, they updated their brand guidelines.
Ah, the silent killer.
They moved their logo. I'm not even joking, maybe 3 pixels to the left.
3 pixels.
Just a tiny design refresh. But that little shift pushed the invoice number down by 1 line, and suddenly my script, which was looking for a pattern at a specific coordinate, it started grabbing the phone number.
And logging it as the total amount due.
Exactly. And just like that, the pipeline explodes.
Well, it's worse than an explosion, right? Because it fails silently.
It failed silently for 3 days until accounting screamed at us, which of course leads to phase 2 of this nightmare.
The shared Google Sheet.
The manual fallback. The automation is dead, so now you have highly paid people just manually copy-pasting from PDFs.
And everyone's in that one Slack channel, #doc processing errors, that is muted by the entire company.
Because it's just a wall of red text.
It is a painful reality, but it's the standard for so many companies.
Yeah.
And that's really the mission for this deep dive. We have to talk about why that old way, the brittle scripts, the regex, is fundamentally broken.
And then talk about how to fix it, how to move to what we call production-grade intelligent document processing.
And we're coming at this from our perspective here at WorkApp because we've seen these Frankenstein systems over and over.
And we know that just slapping an API call onto an old script is not the answer.
No. That's the key. There is a massive gap, I'd call it a canyon, between, hey, my AI can read this one clean invoice in a demo, and
I have a system that processes 500 messy invoices a day without waking me up at 2 a.m.
Yes, that's the difference.
I call that the false hope phase. You spin up a Jupyter notebook, you throw a pristine, perfect PDF at an LLM, and it spits back perfect JSON.
You think, solved. I'll ship this on Friday.
Right, but then reality hits you on Monday. Because in production, you don't get perfect PDFs.
And not even close. You get scans, you get photos from a smartphone at a 45-degree angle with a thumb over the corner.
You get documents that have been, faxed, then scanned, then emailed.
Wait, people are still faxing.
You would be shocked. Healthcare, logistics, faxes are very much alive.
And if your system is built on that Happy Path demo, it crashes.
Or worse, the model gets confused and it hallucinates a number. It politely lies to you.
That's the scary part.
So we need to move away from coordinates and guessing and get to actual understanding. But intelligent is such a buzzword.
It is.
What does that actually mean in the context of, our philosophy here?
Well, it's not magic. It really comes down to 4 specific capabilities. The first is what we call adaptive extraction.
Okay, so unpack that for me. How is that different from my brittle regex script?
Well, think about how you, as a human, read a document. You don't get out a ruler and measure millimeters from the top left corner to find the date.
No, of course not. I look for context.
Exactly. You look for the word date, or you recognize the format. You're looking for meaning, not location.
Right.
Traditional processing is all coordinate-based.
Right.
Go to x-axis 50, y-axis 100, read text. If the paper shifts, you get nothing.
Empty space.
Adaptive extraction uses the AI's ability to understand semantic relationships. It knows that net 30 means payment terms, whether it's in the header, the footer, or buried in paragraph 6.
So if the logo moves 3 pixels, the AI just doesn't care.
It doesn't even notice. The second capability, and this is where I think most DIY projects fail, is confidence scoring.
This is huge. The system has to know what it doesn't know.
Honesty is a feature. Is the difference between a system that makes a best guess and praise versus a system that raises its hand and says, I'm not sure about this one.
Right. If it's 60% sure because there's a coffee stain over the number, it needs to flag that.
It shouldn't just pick the most likely number and hope for the best.
And that leads right into the third point, which has to be learning from corrections.
Right, because a human will eventually have to fix something.
And in a bad system, that fix happens in the database. And that's it. The system makes the same mistake tomorrow.
In a smart system, that correction is a training signal. It loops back. The system learns, oh, for this vendor, the invoice number is actually down here.
It's like compound interest for your accuracy.
Precisely. And the last one is just graceful failure. It needs to handle the tables inside paragraphs, upside down pages, without crashing the entire pipeline.
So to actually build this, we advocate for a 4-layer architecture, 4 distinct jobs.
Ingestion, AI processing, validation, and integration. And you absolutely cannot skip any of them.
Okay, so let's start with layer 1, document ingestion. This feels like the unsexy plumbing layer that everyone ignores.
Oh, they always do. They assume files just magically appear on the server in the right format.
And they never do.
They never, ever do. This is the reality check layer. In a real business, inputs are coming from everywhere. You've got PDFs, email bodies, phone photos.
My favorite is the multi-page contract where page 7 is rotated 90 degrees because the scanner jammed.
And the developer's first response is always, well, just tell the users to name the files correctly.
Which has literally never worked in the history of computing.
It's a guaranteed point of failure. You have to assume the input will be garbage.
So how do we fix ingestion?
3 steps. First, format normalization. You convert everything, PDFs, OCR scans, images, email text, into one consistent format immediately.
So you don't have separate code paths for PDFs versus JPEGs.
You will regret it if you do. Second is pre-processing. This is where you clean up the mess before the AI even sees it.
Deskewing the image so it's straight, enhancing contrast.
Removing that salt and pepper noise from a bad scan.
But does that actually matter for modern AI? I feel like people think, oh, GPT-4 can read anything.
It matters immensely. If you feed a noisy, skewed image to an LLM, you increase the token count, you decrease the accuracy, you're making it work harder for a worse result.
You want to give it a clean canvas.
Exactly. And the third step is automatic classification.
Don't trust the file name.
Never trust the file name. A file called invoicefinalv2.pdf might actually be a purchase order. The system has to look at the content and classify what the document is.
Okay, so we've scrubbed it, rotated it, we know it's an invoice, now we're at layer 2. Extraction that actually understands.
This is where we bury regex once and for all.
Give me a concrete example. Why does AI win here?
Take a purchase order. A standard PO almost always have 2 addresses, right? A ship to and a bill to.
Right, standard stuff.
To a regex script, those just look like 2 blocks of address text. It panics. It doesn't know which is which.
So it may just grab the first one it finds.
Exactly. But an AI understands the context. It sees the label ship to or bill to, and it understands that relationship. It's not just matching patterns. It's understanding structure.
That context is critical, but there's another part of this I think people underestimate. Structured output.
Oh, this is non-negotiable. If you just ask a generic chat model to read this invoice, it might reply with a sentence. The payment terms appear to be net 30 days.
Which is useless for your database. You can't query a sentence.
You need a JSON object. You need payment terms days. An integer. Native AI components enforce this schema. It constrains the model, so it has to give you the data in the right format.
And this can handle the really complex stuff, like tables.
Tables are the final boss.
Yeah.
Imagine a table of line items that spans across a page break. Headers on page 1, not on page 2.
A regex script just sees a soup of numbers.
Right, but AI sees it holistically. It knows that number is a line total, not the invoice total. It understands the hierarchy. And the best part?
What's that?
This all becomes configuration, not code. You're not writing Python to extract a date. You're writing a simple YAML file that says, I want the invoice date. The AI adapts.
Okay, that saves a ton of maintenance. But even the best AI isn't perfect. It hallucinates. How do we trust this with our money? Which brings us to layer 3.
Confidence scoring and human in the loop. This is the layer that separates a science project from a production system.
Science projects assume 100% accuracy.
And production systems assume imperfection and manage it.
So how do you manage it?
With a graduated response. Think of it like a traffic light. High confidence, say, above 90% is green, auto-approved. That's your automation win. That's 70–85% of your volume.
Okay, so that's the magic part. What about the rest?
Then you have medium confidence, yellow. Maybe the AI is 75% sure about a number. This goes to a review queue. A human sees the doc on the left, the extracted data on the right.
A quick check.
A 5-second verification. And then you have the red light. Low confidence. The system says, I genuinely do not know.
And that's a good thing. I'd rather it say, I don't know, than guess wrong.
Exactly. But here's the thing about that review queue. I see people try to build this themselves. They spin up a whole web app.
It's classic yak shaving. You're building an app instead of solving your problem. And you miss the most important part.
The feedback loop.
Tell me about it.
When that human fixes the data, when they change Acme Corp to Acme Corporation Inc., that has to be a lesson. That correction needs to flow back as a training signal.
So the system actually gets smarter while you sleep.
Ideally, yes. Unlike the author's cat, Olive.
I read about Olive.
Olive sleeps on the keyboard, but provides warmth, not optimization. Your system needs to be the opposite. It has to compound in value.
So we've ingested, extracted, reviewed. Now we hit layer 4, validation, routing, and integration.
Right. This is where extraction stops being a parlor trick and becomes a business process. And there's a huge distinction here. The difference between AI confidence and business confidence.
Okay, break that down.
AI confidence says, I am 99% sure I read this number correctly. It definitely says $50,000. And the AI is right.
The text on the page is $50,000.
But business validation says, wait a minute, this vendor usually charges us $5,000. A $50 invoice is suspicious.
So the AI did its job perfectly, but the invoice itself might be wrong.
Exactly. You need that second layer of a business logic. And when you find something like that, you need to route it.
Conditional routing.
Right. Maybe invoices under $10K get auto-paid. But that $50K anomaly, that triggers a Slack message to the CFO.
And not just a generic message.
No, an interactive one. Using native integrations, you can send a payload where the CFO sees the vendor, the amount, the invoice scan, and an approve or reject button right there in Slack.
No logging into a clunky ERP.
Frictionless. Which brings up the last point on this layer. Please, stop writing custom API wrappers for everything. Use native integrations.
And I assume we need to test this whole thing.
Auto-testing. Yes. Just like CI/CD in software, you need it for AI. You run a set of golden sample documents through the pipeline regularly to make sure accuracy hasn't drifted.
Okay, let's bring this all together. Walk me through the 4-minute dream. What does this feel like for the finance team?
All right. An invoice arrives as a PDF in an email. Minute 0, the workflow ingests it, normalizes it, classifies it, runs OCR, all in the background.
Okay.
Minute 1, the AI extracts the data. Vendor, amount, terms, confidence scores are high, 95% plus.
Great.
Minute 2, the business rules kick in.
Yeah.
It checks the vendor, checks for duplicate invoice numbers. Everything looks good except the amount is over $10,000.
Which hits a threshold rule.
Right. Minute 3, conditional routing kicks in. It sends that Slack notification to the finance manager. She sees it on her phone.
With the buttons?
With the approve button.
Oh.
She taps it. Minute 4, that tap triggers the integration. The system writes the data to the ERP, schedules the payment, and creates an audit log entry.
0 manual data entry. 0 custom code maintenance.
And total visibility.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
It sounds amazing, but I know there are pitfalls. What are the big don'ts?
The biggest one is trusting extraction without validation. Never assume high AI confidence means it's correct for the business.
A painful lesson to learn if you get it wrong.
Very. Another one is ignoring the long tail. The first 80% of your documents are easy. The last 20%, the weird, messy ones, will eat 80% of your maintenance time if you don't have that human-in-the-loop queue.
And the last one has to be skipping the feedback loop.
Absolutely. If corrections don't flow back, your accuracy is frozen in time. You want a system that learns from your team's expertise.
So let's wrap this up. We've got the 4 layers: ingestion, AI processing, validation and routing, and integration.
That's the blueprint.
And the why here is simple. Stop maintaining brittle scripts that break because a logo moved 3 pixels.
And start building systems that can handle the chaos of the real world. Move from fragility to resilience.
And if you're listening to this thinking about that muted Slack channel, you don't have to start from scratch. At Workout, we've built templates for these workflows.
Invoices, contracts, support tickets, you can basically configure and ship. You can process your first batch today instead of building infrastructure for the next quarter.
So here's my final thought for you to chew on. There's a fundamental difference between a project and a system. A project is static. You build it, you finish it, and from that moment on, it starts to decay. A system, on the other hand, is dynamic. It learns, it adapts, it compounds in value.
The question is, which one are you building?
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.